Well, there's an urgent call for the federal government to engage professionals in the housing sector to curb the frequent collapse of buildings in the country. The Council of Registered Builders of Nigeria is of the view that inadequate funding for architects, builders, quantity surveyors and valuers are some of the major causes of substandard practices in infrastructure development in the country. They are advocating an enabling law to ensure a periodical review of the National Building Code and sanctions for defaulters. Our correspondent, Omelogo Nnadi, reports.
On the need to provide the regulatory bodies with
officials of the regulatory bodies in the housing sector to meeting with the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Mrs. Amal Peppel, to discuss issues and challenges in the building sector and chart the way forward. The delegation, made up of architects, builders, valuers and surveyors, among others, are key players in urban development and housing sector. They complained that their different bodies have been neglected by the government and that poor implementation of the building codes and obsolete laws are some of the reasons for collapsed buildings in the country.
We have not received anything since the beginning of this year, as our names were omitted from the national budget completely. How can we optimally monitor the planning of our towns and cities, check incessant building collapses, checkmate built environment abuses and quackery, as well as the use of substandard materials in this country? We can't.
The land, housing and urban development sector of the country, according to the minister, is running a deficit of about 17 million naira. This is evident in the poor infrastructural development and inadequate housing in the country. But the Minister of Housing and Urban Development promised to tackle the problems, beginning with low-cost housing for low-income earners.
Accommodation is one of the yardsticks for measuring the level of health of our people. But it's difficult for low-income group people because land is expensive, building material is expensive. But I am determined, by God's grace and with the support of all of you, to make a difference.
Besides giving assurance to fund different bodies under her ministry, the minister says a lot of work needs to be done to meet up with new trends and the rising population of the country. But first, she promised to consult all players in the housing sector to ensure the development of the sector. Omelogo Nnadi, Channels Television News.